Stan shrugged. There's plenty of work for you to do, said Dostoevsky. I'm really struggling with his name, I need to practice it. All them little fish to care for, and all them ducks to keep clean. It's up to you. It seems to me you're made for travelling with a hook and duck stool. Stan sighed. Maybe Dostoevsky was right. He certainly wasn't made for working fish canning machines in Fishkey Lane. What kind of life was that? And what kind of life was it to live with a bloke like Ernie, who could do the dreadful thing he'd done last night? He took a deep breath. And of course, I'll pay you, said Dostoevsky. Just like I said I would. Stan took another deep breath. Be brave, he told himself. Okay, he said. I'll come along. Good lad. Dostoevsky opened the Land Rover door. Look who's come back to us, Natasha. Natasha turned her eyes to Stan. She peered at him, just like she was peeping through a peephole. There was a fish tank on the back seat with a shoal of lovely goldfish in it. Stan got into the Land Rover. That's the style, said Dostoevsky. Keep an eye on them fish, lad. Don't want them swilling out, do we? He climbed into the driver's seat, turned the engine on and began to drive slowly across the bumpy waste ground. He picked up speed as he drove uphill away from the river. Stan peered out. He looked along his own street. He saw his aunt and uncle standing outside their house. There was a heap of pipes and cables all around them. A burly bloke dressed in black stood with his arms folded, blocking the front door. Put your own fish in it if you wants to. Put your own fish in if you wants to, Dostoevsky told Stan, nodding towards the tank. Stan dipped his hand into his bucket. He lifted out the little fish, then slid into the tank. Oh, my companions, he heard inside him. Natasha swiveled her head, put her tongue out at Stan. Welcome to our little family, Stan, said Dostoevsky. Then he put his foot down, accelerated away from the town, from everything that Stan had ever known. Right. The Fairground, Chapter 13. It's nearly time for Pancho Pirelli. He'll soon be entering the tale. Who's Pancho Pirelli, you may well ask. The fella's a fishy legend. A piscatorial genius. He's such an amazing bloke. Some people wonder if he's really human. How can he do what he does? How can he dodge death time after time after time? He must have gills. He must have scales. He must have fishy fragments sparkling in his brain. He must have fishy particles pelting through his blood. He's a man of fish and legend, and when he does appear, he'll turn our Stan's world inside out and upside down. Right now, of course, at this particular turning of the page, Pancho doesn't even know that a lad called Stanley Potts exists. And Stanley's just as innocent and ignorant, of Pancho. But their paths are chosen. They're headed towards each other. Whether they want it or not, they are going to meet. It's their destiny. It won't be long. In the meantime, here is Stan trundling along in the Land Rover with Dostoevsky and Natasha. The caravan behind them is rattling and swaying. They're following a road beside the sea. There are dunes and beaches and endless water and a few wooden shacks and a couple of villages. The sun is shining in the blue, blue sky, and the sea is glinting and a breeze is blowing, and there are boats dancing on the swell. Dostoevsky is as happy as can be. This is the life, Stan, he calls. The open road. The world's our oyster. We're wild and footloose. We're fancy-free. He swerves to avoid a pothole in the road. He beams at Stan in the rearview mirror. What do you think, Stan? How's it feel to be fancy-free? Stan looks away. He dips his fingers into the tank. He watches the dunes streaming past. He's already starting to wonder if he's done the wrong thing, Why did he turn his back on everything he loved? What on earth got into him? Natasha swivels in her seat and grins. He's blubbing, she says. No, I'm not. Dostoevsky regards the boy again. It's natural to be blubbing, he says. You be blubbing yourself, Natasha, if you'd done what he's just done. Is that it, Stan? You're having second thoughts. Are you, Stan? Stan tries to control his voice. He tries to avoid Natasha's eyes. No, he says, but his voice is hardly more than a whisper. Are you missing your folks? Continues Dostoevsky. Stan meets the man's eye. Just a little bit, he says at last. Natasha stifles a giggle. Dostoevsky winks at Stan in the rearview mirror. I know you must be, but never mind, he says. You'll soon get used to being with us. You'll soon get used to being wild and free. Ain't that right, Natasha? Yeah, snorts Natasha. Stan looks down. Be brave, he tells himself. And you'll soon forget about the folks you left behind, said Dostoevsky. Ain't that right, Natasha? Yeah, snaps Natasha. He will. That's right. Stop worrying, son. We're your family now. We'll look after you. He puts his foot down. The engine roars. The Land Rover and the hooker duck caravan thunder on. Stan leans back in his seat. He tells himself he has done the right thing. He tells himself all will be well. He tells himself he must be brave. But he has to keep on squeezing back the tears. And the next chapter is chapter 14. I'm going to stop there.